Okay, good morning, Israel. It's now 3:40 a.m. Nassau, Bahamas. This is the 31st of December, and we're going to bring in the new year dealing with God's Spirit. What the mouth and voice of God say about His Spirit. This is page 115, and this will be part 8. Part 8. Part 8. It's completed part 7. This will be a continuation of part 7. Again, page 115. What the mouth and voice of God say about His Spirit. This book is a book dealing with the Spirit of God. Each word in the Bible is a book, and this is a book too. And I'm giving you all of what God says about His Spirit, that you may be empowered to heal the sick, raise the dead, make the deaf hear, the blind see, the dumb speak, and to hear from God. So let's get on with it. Uh, what the mouth and voice of God says about His Spirit. Page 115, starting out here in Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 31. What the mouth and voice of God says about His Spirit. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 31. And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart. Deuteronomy chapter 17:3. And hath gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded. Jeremiah chapter 7:22. For I spake unto your fathers, for I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. What the mouth of what's God say about His word, Spirit. Isaiah chapter 50, verse 1. Thus saith the Lord, where is the bill of your mother's divorcement, whom I have put away? Or which of my creditors is it, to whom I have sold you? Behold, for your iniquities have ye sold yourselves, and for your transgressions is your mother put away. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elijah, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditor is come to take unto him my two sons to be bondmen. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 8. This is the word that came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, after that the king Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people which were at Jerusalem, to proclaim liberty unto them. Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 12. And if thy brother, an Hebrew man, or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. What the mouth and voice of God say about His word, Spirit? Jeremiah chapter 39, verse 4. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 9. That every man should let his manservant and every man his maidservant, being an Hebrew or an Hebrewess, go free, that none should serve himself of them, to wit, of a Jew his brother. Nehemiah chapter 5, verse 11. Restore, I pray you, to them even this day their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses, also a hundredth part of the money, and of the corn, the wine, and the oil, that ye exact of them. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 10. Now, when all the princes and all the people which had entered into the covenant heard that every one should let his manservant and every one his maidservant go free, that none should serve themselves of them any more, then they obeyed and let them go. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 11. But afterward they turned and cursed and caused, but afterward they turned and caused the servants and the handmaids, whom they had let go free, to return, and brought them into subjection, for servants and for handmaids. Hosea chapter 6, verse 4. O Ephraim, what shall I do unto thee? O Judah, what shall I do unto thee? For your goodness is as a morning cloud, and as the early dew it goeth away. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 12. Therefore the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 13. Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, I made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondmen, saying, Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 13. Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, I made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondmen, saying, Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 14. At the end of 7 years, let ye go every man his brother and Hebrew, which hath been sold unto thee, and when he hath served thee 6 years, thou shalt let him go free from thee. But your fathers hearkened not unto me, neither inclined their ear. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 15. And ye were now turned, and had done right in my sight, in proclaiming liberty every man to his neighbor, and ye had made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name. But the mouth of what's God say about his word spirit, 2 Kings chapter 23, verse 3. And the king stood by a pillar, and made a covenant before the Lord, to walk after the Lord, and to keep his commandments, and his testimonies, and his statutes, with all their heart and all their soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 16. But ye turned and polluted my name, and caused every man his servant, and every man his handmaid, whom he had set at liberty at their pleasure, to return, and brought them into subjection, to be unto you for servants and for handmaids. What the mouth of what's God say about his word spirit? Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 17. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, ye have hearkened unto me in proclaiming liberty, every one to his brother, and every man to his neighbor. Behold, I proclaim a liberty for you, said the Lord, to the sword, to the pestilence, and to the famine, and I will make you to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Matthew chapter 7, verse 2. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. Jeremiah chapter 34, verse 18. And I will give the man that have transgressed my covenant, which have not performed the words of the covenant, which they had made before me, when they cut the calf in twine, and passed between the parts thereof. What the mouth and voice of God say about his word, spirit. Matthew chapter 18, 25. But for as much as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. Leviticus chapter 25, verse 89. And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant. 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verse 22. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished. The Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdoms, and put it also in writing, saying, what the mouth of what's God said about his word spirit. Ezra chapter 1, verse 1. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdoms, and put it also in writing, saying, Leviticus chapter 26, verse 42. And that word is kingdom, I believe. But when you read it, you can check it out yourself. Ezra chapter 1, verse 1. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 42. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember. And I will remember the land. Psalms 136:23. Who remembered us in our low estate? For his mercy endureth forever. Luke chapter 1:48. For he hath regarded the low estate of his handmaiden. For behold, from henceforth all generations shall call me blessed. But the mouth of what God says, but his word spirit. Ezra chapter 1, verse 5. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, and the priest and the Levites, with all them whose spirit God had raised, to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 20. Thou gavest also thy good spirit to instruct them, and withheldest not thy manna from their mouth, and gavest them water for their thirst. Isaiah chapter 63, verse 11. Then he remembered the days of old, Moses and his people, saying, where is he that brought them up out of the sea with the shepherd of his flock? Where is he that put his Holy Spirit within him? But the mouth of what God say about his word spirit, page 126. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 30. Yet many years didst thou forbear them, and testifiedest against them by thy spirit in thy prophets. Yet would they not give ear. Therefore gavest thou them into the hand of the people of the lands. Job chapter 4:15. Then the Spirit passed before my face, The hair of my flesh stood up. Psalm chapter 104, verse 4. Who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 7. And of the angels he saith, who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. Hebrews chapter 1:14. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation? What the mouth of what's God say about his word, spirit? Job chapter 4:15. Then a spirit passed before my face. The hair of my flesh stood up. Psalms 104, verse 4. Who maketh his angels spirits and who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 7. And of the angels he saith, who maketh his angels spirits and his ministers a flame of fire. Hebrews chapter 1:14. Hebrews chapter 1:14. And they are not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for them who shall be heirs of salvation. Job chapter 6:4. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. What the mouth and voice of God say about his word, spirit? Job chapter 7, verse 11. Therefore I will not refrain my lips. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Psalms chapter 39, verse 1. I said, I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 4. That the Lord may continue his word, which he spake concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 3. I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. What the mouth of what's God say about his word, spirit? Hebrews chapter 2, 1, page 129, Hebrews chapter 2, 1. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip. Psalms 39, verse 9. I was dumb, I opened not my mouth, because thou didst it. Job chapter 10, 12. Thou hast granted me life and favor, and thy visitation hath preserved my spirit. Job chapter 15, verse 13. That thou turnest thy spirit against God, and lettest such words go out of thy mouth. Job chapter 20, verse 3. I have heard the cheek of my reproach, and the spirit of my understanding causes me to answer. Job chapter 21, verse 4. Job chapter 21, verse 4. As for me, is my complaint to man, and if it were so, why should not my spirit be troubled? 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 16. I count not thine handmaid for a daughter of Belial, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spake thereto. Job chapter 7:11. Therefore This page 130, Job chapter 7, verse 11. Therefore I will not refrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Psalms 39:1. I said, I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle, while the wicked is before me. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 4. That the Lord may continue his word, which he spake concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth, with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. We're going to break off right there and